Is January 21st, 2021. We're here in the garage of the property located at 7920 Windsor Drive in La Mesa, California, 91941. So we have in the garage here our laundry, utility sink, and then right behind this wall is where we have our downstairs, essentially, bathroom. And then vertically right above, you can even see the pipes that are protruding through the walls and the ceiling. We have the upstairs bathroom. So they're immediately on top of each other, side by side. And we do have a clean out that was brought out here. It's a 3-inch cast iron access point. We've taken the lid off. So we're going to go down into the main sewer here. So again, here's the T-junction from what's coming vertically from the bathroom above. This is all original cast iron here so far. Here's the T-junction right here where things dump into the system as well. So going down vertically here, we're going to be making the transition right here at this turn to the horizontal line. So we're now in the original horizontal cast iron sewer main. Like just some little shredded debris there, construction debris or something else. Now the unit is vacant, so we did go ahead and run some water when we first got here through everything because we want to make sure that there's no pockets of standing water, which we'd call a sag. And that can be due to the bad slope of the pipe or buildup in the pipe, caused it not to drain out. So it looks like we might just have little pieces of hair along the bottom of the pipe there. We're checking obviously for root intrusions and any other, again, debris that shouldn't be in the system itself. So the bottom of the pipe is kind of flat, which is going to be normal for this age of cast iron. So the circular pipe you can kind of see from the top and side walls, and then on the bottom you can see all these flattened out areas, and like right here, these little undulations of scale and buildup of deposits that have formed on there. It's usually nothing to be too worried about as long as it's not too thick, which it isn't so far. Now again, the house is vacant, but we're not seeing any paper or feces that has been clogged up and all caught on those rougher areas. It does have good slope. We can tell our pipe has an incline meter that tells us the pitch of the pipe, and the camera that's sitting in there. We know this pipe has really good slope as well, so that can help. Little flaking of the walls of the pipe, the cast iron steel, but again, overall, nothing too severe. Now you can see right here, we can see that the wall is kind of flaking inward, so it's kind of rusting and corroding, and it's kind of essentially peeling apart in little areas. Doesn't mean the pipe's completely compromised and it needs to be repaired yet, but it's just the original cast iron, so it's what you expect to see in little pockets and pools throughout the line on occasion. Now we entered it through a 3-inch opening, and it still looks like it's 3-inch pipe. We can't exactly tell from the camera if it's 3 or 4. Now again, here as well on the right and left sides, we can see that there's some flaking and little cracking of the pipe. So it's getting a little bit more severe that's continued, and it's on both sides of the line here. Again, obviously all the water kind of carries and debris on the bottom of the line. So it wouldn't probably interfere with the line or causing stoppages or anything like that. You just get worried over time if that's going to allow roots to start to intrude, and or if the line ever has to be snaked or hydrojetted to clear a stoppage, the walls of the pipe might literally kind of crumble and flake and just fall in the pipe, and then that could literally lead to the dirt and mud and clay that's out on the outside of the pipe and let it get into the system, which would be a total failure. So a little concerning again, but again, this is original cast iron, so you kind of expect to see some of these things over some time frame with the age of this. Again, some more little flaking on the left-hand side of the pipe right there that's kind of flaring into the system, and pipe is still intact though, and it doesn't have any roots intruding through those areas. Okay, so we can see we're coming up on Greenbelt PVC. Now we did notice by the sidewalk that some new sidewalk had been put in. We kind of expected that there was a possibility that was done because they put in new plastic sewer pipe and or relined it from that sidewalk area out. So we're transitioning right here. So it does appear that this line is 4-inch because the Greenbelt PVC is all 4-inch. So it looks like it's a clean, smooth transition from the cast iron into the plastic. It's not a reducing bell or reducing hub. So here's the Greenbelt PVC that the city contractor put in. And then we have right here a liner that was shot, and then this was drilled out. So what you're looking at here was a spray-coated liner that was installed in the street, and then they literally use a machine that drills out the openings for the T-junctions, and that's why it kind of almost looks shredded on that opening right there. It's because there's a tool and a machine that we use that does that. So right there, we're already dumping into the cities. You can see that massive size of the pipe we're now entering, and you can see all the water that's flowing on the bottom left of the screen. That's all the neighborhood, other streets on, houses on the street, they're flowing and using water in their system. So it's a very short run of only 47 feet from this clean out till it dumps into the city. So we'll back up through the system right here again. A little bit of debris right there that just kind of caught in the line there. So again, you can see that the wall's kind of flaking and buckling inside there and swelling. So it doesn't need any repairs right now, but in the future at some point it will need to be replaced or relined. Typically with a pipe like this, you would reline it because we have concrete the entire way from the end of this line to where it begins here across the garage and the driveway. So you'd still have to dig up one access point so that the line could be coated. The machine for the coating can't go through this clean out that's here of the smaller 3-inch. So you would still have to dig up one point in the system to do that. But again, it doesn't need it right now. Now again, here's that one spot where the left and right sides are both kind of flaking and swelling a little bit. The pipe is literally rusting and kind of flaking inwards there a little bit. But there's no roots intruding, and it's, again, not going to cause any stoppages right now on the system with the way the pipe is right there. We can't say how many years it would be for this before it would require that. There's just no way of knowing. But the line is completely functional right now. Now we do have a kitchen clean out. We don't always go from the kitchen and try to look at that line because it's a small 2-inch pipe and it's the drain, not the sewer. But it's on the other side of the house. And we can see they've replaced everything under the sink and into the wall. And then there is a clean out on the exterior wall. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can get a camera through there. And then what we'll do is we're going to leave this camera here just for right now and pause. We want to see where the water from the kitchen is entering into the line. We don't know if it's coming in and we just didn't see the T-junction or if it comes all the way back towards the bathroom. We want to verify that. Okay, so we've used the second camera here. We still have the other one in the main sewer. We're here right outside the kitchen window of the property. We have a smaller camera here because, again, we don't know if they've replaced everything, and so if it goes down to cast iron, it's very difficult to get the 1-inch camera through a constricted old 2-inch pipe, which is not even nearly that on the inside anymore. But again, they do have ABS pipe right here to start. So they put all this ABS in. Now this camera, again, is not self-leveling. It's a smaller camera to try to get through this piping, so it's going to look a little bit different, but we'll see here. We've got all plastic so far. This is all plastic ABS. It's running straight for a very long distance. Finally coming up to the 90 or 45 degree turn here. It looks like a full 90. And it looks like this was all replaced as well, so it's all nice and open. So So it looks like they might have taken the time and replaced all the kitchen line. There's a little debris right there, and then you can see already we've got a T-junction right there where it might be picking something else up from one of the bathrooms or even the laundry if we've come down from that spot. But we haven't made a downward turn, so I think this is from one of the upstairs bathrooms. So what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to leave our camera right here at this T-junction. It does look like this is now turning into original cast iron. You can see some of the heavy buildup we were referring to, and that makes it really hard for cameras to get through kitchen lines, but we do see they've replaced most of this. So we're going to pause for 1 second and turn on some water. Okay, so you can see the water that's coming through there. This is actually the upper level bathtub drain that we ran, and we got water coming through. We first started with the lavatory sink and didn't see anything. It makes sense though, because the tub is the first thing you come up to from the kitchen area as you go left headed towards the bathroom. So that little T-junction right there, that is in fact where the bathtub dumps into the system. So that's how the kitchen makes its connection point. We're going to push through a little bit of this, but yeah, you can see all that little debris. So see the hair and the other debris that's there. So the line just got some normal accumulated buildup that's been put down the line, but they have replaced almost all of it. There's just that little bit of gunk in the line, but that's where it's headed to. So everything's functional, and this is good news that the kitchen's been redone because, again, that's all inside the ceilings and walls. That would be a lot of work to have to redo that. So they've gone through all that time and money and labor and done that already. So we know that it actually does head towards the bathroom. It doesn't run down and across and dump into the main somewhere under the concrete of the driveway or in the garage. So we're going to go ahead and pause and move back to the original camera in the main sewer. Okay, so we turned back on our first camera and we pulled back on the line a little bit, and we came back in reverse here, which we didn't notice the first time pushing through. We can see the swelling on the right-hand side of the pipe, but on the left-hand side, in the very bottom there, you can see some very small, little tiny roots starting to get in the line right there. So the little tiny ones coming in right there on the left-hand side of the screen. You can see them growing, very, very small ones, because again, this is a 4-inch pipe. But they are growing like a little miniature weave along the bottom left-hand side of the pipe there. Doesn't need to be snaked or hydrojetted. Typically a foaming chemical treatment is what you would do just to keep that at bay. But we can see right there on the left-hand side, the pipe probably has a little crack or a little fissure line just due to age, and it's letting just the beginning of some really tiny roots. Now we did notice when we tried to locate a part of the pipe here that the pipe actually does not go, it looks like, towards the street. So the one sidewalk repair was probably done for the water piping, but in the backyard and the right-hand side is where there's a manhole, and there's actually some PVC pipe sticking out of the ground because that's actually where the sewer is going. So it looks like it's leaving the back of this property at an angle and running across the backyard, and that's where the city line is. So there's an easement in the backyard where a bunch of other houses all dump into the system, including this one, of course. So we're going to push back forward again. Now our distance counter is off because we had unplugged the camera, so it had to start back up again. So we're going to push back all the way to the end here, close to it. We want to go ahead and get a location to verify that it is, of course, going to the backyard. So there's the new Greenbelt PVC pipe they put in. Here's the end of this cast iron, little debris right there. Can't say that those are roots or not. It could be a little fissure line with some really tiny ones also trying to grow through. But we're going to go ahead and pause our camera right here to go ahead and locate this specific spot and see how deep the pipe is as well. Okay, so we have verified that the sewer line does run underneath the back deck of the house, and it runs across the backyard. So when you're staring at the front of the house here from the sidewalk, the garage is on the left-hand side, of course, and then the sewer line actually runs all the way to the right-hand side. So when you go out the back bottom level of the house onto the wooden deck, literally right at the edge back corner of the wooden deck before you can go down the stairs to go into the yard itself, that's right where this sewer pipe is. When you look over the edge, the pipe below the dirt, is about 3 feet 10 inches deep. So it's a pretty deep pipe, and it's right next to one of the piers and posts for the deck, and there's also a really large tree right next to that. So basically, it's not much of an easy diggable area, but we did want to go ahead and locate it, because if the line again ever got to the point that you needed to repair or replace it, and in this case, most of the time you would reline something like this to make it easier than trying to dig up around these difficult areas. This would be the one access point you'd want to try to get to. You've got good plastic on the one side, because you'd put another clean out right here, and then you could shoot and spray coat back up. So as we back up the line, again, we don't know if that's a little tiny root or just some little debris right there where some other stuff's caught on it. It could be the beginnings of some small roots, just hard to say for sure. We're going to put in a flag in the ground denoting that spot right there where the cast iron ends, so we'll show where that's at on the property. Again, as we back up on here, again, just seeing the flaking on the top and side walls and the swelling of the rust and the corrosion of the cast iron. So we're headed back at a straight, one big solid straight pipe. So when we came in from this clean out and went vertically down and made that 90-degree turn to become horizontal, it's angled right at that spot in the back corner of the house, and so it just continues across. Now, when we pull up back a few more feet here, we're going to see actually what looks to be a buried clean out tee. Back up here a little bit more. See when we see this here pretty soon, I believe. Okay, right there. There you go. There's that T-junction opening, and you can see it's not wet. We ran all the water. Nothing comes in from there. This is under the deck, basically. At some point, they had put in a clean out, but it's obviously not accessible for machine or equipment. It's not needed, but we just want to point that out, that we did notice that when we came back in reverse. So again, the line's all under the deck, so it's not very accessible in any way, shape, or form. But again, nothing has to be done right now. There's another sweep right there, another clean out access point. And then we'll be coming back up quickly here to just make sure we see anything else right there. I think that's just some little hair in the line. See some little fissure line there, and then you can see little black lines that looks like hair, that little ball of debris there. But so the line is nice and open, and here we go, already coming back up the vertical already here. So this is in the very beginning there. So there's not much easy spot if it comes to that point. It would probably need to be dug up all the way at the end of the line, but we're going to go ahead and push forward right here to where we see these clean out access points and double check under the deck. So we're going to pause the video for 1 second. Okay, so we've gone ahead and located this section, and it's under the deck right past the foundation wall of the house, and they're not exposed though in the dirt area that's between the deck and that little space as you can kind of get around, not much. So from the top of the deck, we're showing that the pipe is also about 3.5 feet here deep to the bottom of the pipe. And so with the deck and the little bit of open area before you get to the dirt, you can probably deduct almost 1.5 feet. So the sewer pipe's about 2 feet deep or a little over that below the dirt if you had to dig it up at some point. If you ever did get to the point you had to reline it. So you could probably get the machinery back up in there. But this would be the starting point, much easier than the end of the line because of where the end of the line, the digging and the depth of the pipe at that spot. So we're now going to pause the video and just move the camera back to the back deck area to show where the pipe is and the marking that we made. Okay, so we're here at the back of the house on the deck. So you can see right in about the middle of the house, you have the 2 small windows, and those are basically the bathroom there. And we have our little red and black vertical locator sitting on the deck right there. That's the sewer pipe, where it basically is going from that, and it's running across the deck at an angle, coming over to where we're at here with our equipment. And you can see this large tree that's right here. Here's the corner of the deck. and the stairs that lead down. So right over the edge of the deck right here, next to this large tree, when we go down, we have a little flag that's down in the ground over here. And so there's our little flag right there. You can see that little flag right there that we're waving at. That's marked in the ground. It says CI to PL, which is cast iron to plastic, and it denotes the depth right there, which again is about 46 to 48 inches to the bottom of the pipe. So that's the path of the pipe, and that's where it's then ending. And as we look across right here into the backyard, again, you can see that there's a large manhole right there. You can see the two pipes coming out of the ground. That dome, white shaped with the brown, that's the metal cast iron top. And so that's the access to the city sewer line right there. So there's the neighbor's property. So the sewer line runs through this easement in between the two properties essentially, and that's where this line then junctions in from where we just showed that little flag across. So that's the path of the pipe. It's leaving the house, going under the deck, and then right here at the corner below where we're at right here is where it basically ends and then connects into the city, which is right along that line right there, running from the front to the backyard basically. And that's where everybody's also dumping in from the neighboring properties. So that concludes the recording for this house.